Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. It is the last Sunday in April. Wow, time flies. It's going to be May 1st on Friday. Wow. Um, and I don't, and I decided I don't really want to talk politics anymore because it's just too stressful and no good comes from it. And there's been reasons why I don't discuss politics at all. But I was at a Shabbat meal on Friday night. And I don't know how it came up. I don't know where it started. But we ended up getting onto the topic of Trump after the meal was over. And it did not go well at all. And 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 by that, and it got to the point, and when I said it didn't go well, it got to the point where the wife got so worked up that I felt like she was going to start to cry. Okay? And her 16-year-old daughter, sorry, her 18-year-old daughter, decided to tell me how he's very good. And I started listing things from his past. And she was saying it doesn't matter what he did 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It only matters what he's doing now. And I said, you're wrong. It absolutely does matter because it's not like this is something new. Everybody knows the kind of man that Donald Trump is. And there are people who are in his administration now who back in the day said that he's unfit for office, and if he's ever president, we should all be very afraid. And now these are people, and these very same people who said that are now in cabinet positions in his office who swear ultimate fealty of loyalty to him. People like Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, James David Vance, who all said at one point or another that Donald Trump is a dangerous man and cannot be anywhere near the White House. And now they kiss his knees, they kiss his feet, kiss his ring, swear ultimate loyalty to him. And these are the people that are running the country. And I said to them, all you have to do is a simple fact of life. That you have to do a simple Google search, and everything is there. And you could talk about all this history, and you'll see that Donald Trump is one of the most hated people on the face of this earth. And people will say, at a table, say, no, you hate Trump so much that you can't see the good he's doing for this country. You have such TDS that you can't see what he's doing. And that you have to look at all the stuff that he's done in the past without saying all the good. I said a simple Google search. I said it's not me hating him. It's the fact that he has a history of this and that he's known. And a simple Google search will do this. And they said, well, how come you didn't say anything when Biden? And they said, name 5 good things that Biden did. See, it always comes back to Joe Biden. And I have a feeling everyone here is obsessed with Joe Biden. And when she was talking about, well, when Joe Biden, how come when he closed on the country and the gas prices went high, you didn't say anything then? How come you were okay with that? How come you kept your mouth shut then? And I said, very simply, well, gas prices were high because we had a pandemic. And of course, when there's a pandemic, yes, that's what happens. And he didn't shut the country down. I said, governors shut the countries down. And if you notice, it was only in Democratic states where they shut the country down. I said, but how come you have no problem now with the gas prices being high? Why are you bitching about how it was high during Biden's crisis and the country being shut down? But you don't care. We have gas prices going up high now. Where food's going up high now, and he's destroying the country, making deportations. And he goes, well, he lowered drug prices. My insulin is for my son is lower now, and the EpiPens and everything. And I'm like, one good thing doesn't outdo the rest. I said he's a convicted felon. He's a con artist. He's a grifter. He's a liar. He's a narcissist. He's a sociopath. He's vindictive. He doesn't give a shit about you. He lied on his campaign. So What do you protect? And now you're telling me the rabbis are giving him a special blessing and protecting him? Are you saying that Trump is God and we should bow down to him? I said, isn't that the opposite of what the rabbis are preaching? I said, if by your definition, if Trump is a God, then so is then maybe I should bow down to Jesus Christ and say Hail Mary. By that definition. By that definition. Because if you're saying that Donald Trump is considered a god, then okay, then don't then okay, then isn't that idol worship? And they got so worked up about it. And we've gotten to the point now where Republicans are investigating the origins of TDS and trying to figure out how to cure it. And I'm thinking to myself, are they fucking, like, are they mental? TDS is not a disease. It doesn't exist. You know what the TDS is? It's the Daily Show that airs Monday through Friday on Comedy Central. That's what TDS is, the Daily Show. And when somebody says I have TDS, I just respond, yes, I love the Daily Show. So you're going to investigate a syndrome that doesn't exist, that all of you shitheads created, and then you're going to find the way to cure it? And that's what you're going to waste our tax dollars on, to investigate a disease that doesn't exist in any way, shape, or form, and then try to figure out a way to so you're going to make up some bullshit story about how TDS is a disease that, and then we're going to create and now, and this is like Robert F. Kennedy saying, don't blame me for the measles. If the measles are back in the United States, you should blame all the illegals. Because it's because of them we have the measles, that we got the measles back. Are you fucking retarded? This is exactly what Hitler said about the Jews. This is what Hitler exactly said. Blame the Jews. What do you want from me? That's why we're getting rid of the Jews. That's why we got to kill them. Because, the Jews are vermin and they're bringing diseases. That's exactly what RFK Jr. is saying about the illegals. But he's not. But is he that stupid enough to say? Isn't RFK the one who got rid of the measles disease? Isn't he the one who said kids don't need the measles shots anymore? If you want to vaccinate them, that's on you. But we're not going to endorse it. We're not going to recommend it. Are you? He's not a doctor. He has no medical knowledge ever. He's too super that if you don't vaccinate people, diseases will come back. The only reason why polio got eradicated, the reason why TB got eradicated, because all these diseases got eradicated, is because we had vaccines for them. And more people that get vaccinated become immune. That's called herd immunity. That's science 101. The more people that get immune, the more you prevent the disease from hitting you. Because without a host body, a disease will die. That's how viruses work. And he's saying, and when he said months ago, you don't need to get your child vaccinated with the measles disease, and now they're back in the town. He's blaming immigrants for that. He says, don't blame me, blame immigrants. Well, that's exactly what Hitler said about us Jews. He said, blame the Jews. We have a problem. The Jews are the problem. Let's get rid of them. That's exactly what RFK is saying. And you know what's funny about it? Is that all these Jews can't wrap it around their head with all of these analogies. Project 2025. And I ask, and I'm going to get back to that in a second, but I had a conversation with somebody the other day. This was this conversation. It was in a public forum, and it was meant to be a debate about this. And I came up and I spoke, and I said, I read Mein Kampf. I said, I want to tell you something. I'm Jewish, and I want to tell you something. As a Jew, I read Mein Kampf, and I read the Quran, at least parts of it. And somebody said, why would you read the Mein Kampf? And how would you get a copy of that? I said, because to understand a madman, you have to understand their mindset. Okay? Hitler went to jail, and in jail he wrote his manifesto, which was Mein Kampf. And in Mein Kampf, he blamed the Jews for all of Europe's problems. He blamed all his problems on the Jews. Funny enough, Hitler, as I said many times, Hitler wasn't German. He was Austrian. Why did Hitler blame the Jews? Nobody seems to ask that one question. Hitler blamed the Jews for Germany's problem. Ugh, can't write. Hitler never was not German. He was Austrian. But he blamed the Jews for Germany's problems in defeating World War One, despite being born in Austria, because his ideology was rooted in racial nationalism rather than civic nationality. He believed that bloodline, not citizenship, defined a German, and utilized deep-seated European anti-Semitism to unite a fractured post-World War One Germany. His hatred was driven by a combination of personal, political, and ideological factors developed in early 20th century Vienna, which was a hotspot of anti Jewish sentiment. Here is why Hitler blamed the Jews and how he justified it. The stab in the back myth. After Germany lost World War One, many Germans could not accept defeat. Right-wing conservatives, including Hitler, spread a conspiracy theory that the army was undefeated on the battlefield but had been stabbed in the back by Jews, socialists, and politicians at home. Racial anti-Semitism. Number two, Hitler believed the Jews were not a religious group, but a distinct and inferior race, races in quotes, and an existential threat to the Aryan race. He used this pseudo-scientific concept to frame Jews as parasites and the source of all evil, including capitalism and communism, which he often portrayed as a Jewish conspiracy, which is exactly what Trump did. He says that all the illegal immigrants are a vermin of a disease and have to be dealt with. And that's exactly where Donald Trump got that from. This line right here, parasites. It's also where people have the whole thing of Jews control the economy and Jews have all the money and they control the banks. That's where this is rooted from. That's where this came from. And Hitler just enabled it even further. So when Hitler is saying the Jews are a parasite, that's Donald Trump taking the words of Hitler and calling the illegals a vermin filled with disease that's infecting the population, and we have to deport them. That's exactly where Donald Trump got his ideas from. And it's not Donald Trump, it's Stephen Miller, who is a self-hating Jew, because Project 2025 is that manifesto that, guess what, was taken out of the Hitler playbook. They took that out of Mein Kampf. They took that out of other dictator countries, fascist countries, and are using it here. Okay? And that is where that is from. And in fact, Donald Trump was quoted as saying, I wish I had Hitler's generals, or generals like Hitler's. And I guarantee you, if Hitler was alive today, they'd be best friends. There's no doubt in my mind of that, because Donald Trump emulates war heroes, warmongers, and dictators and authoritarianists. He emulates them. Number three, political scapegoating. Following the humiliation of the Treaty of Versailles and during the economic crisis of the 1920s and 30s, Hitler needed a convenient scapegoat to blame for poverty, unemployment, and political instability. He claimed that removing Jews was the solution to making Germany strong again, and that is where Donald Trump got the MAGA. Because make America great again, America was always great, but he got it from Hitler, from that line where he's saying, if you take away the equation of the Jews, Germany will be great again. That's what he was saying. And he had the whole thing with Judenrein, which was German for Jews, free of Jews. And Donald Trump hasn't done this yet, but Hitler made the Jews wear the yellow stars. And basically saying, you're Jewish, we're not going to give you any business. We're going to put you out of business by not giving you any. And that's where this whole where that whole MAGA movement started from. It didn't just pop into Donald Trump's head overnight. It didn't pop into Steve Bannon's head overnight. This was back from Hitler, where he said, making Germany strong again. And making strong again and making America great again are the exact same things if you read more into it. Number four was ideology of expansionism. Hitler believed in a word called I know I'm gonna screw this up, Lebensraum, which means living space for the German master race, which required expansion to Eastern Europe. He combined this on an aggressive hatred of Jewish Bolshevism, claiming that the Soviet Union was controlled by Jews and must be destroyed. This obviously wasn't true, because around this time you had Joseph Stalin and the Cold War. And Stalin was not a Jew, but he was running the government. He was the president of Russia, or whatever it was back then. Now, he couldn't prove any of this, obviously, but he basically said Jews are supporting the Soviet Union, and because of that, we can't expand our country, and so we are going to invade Russia and destroy the Jews in Russia so that we can control it. And then influences in Vienna between 1908 and 1913. While living in Vienna as a young failed artist, Hitler was exposed to the anti-Jewish policies of Viennese mayor Karl Lueger and other nationalists who argued that Jews could never be true citizens. Although Austrian by birth, Hitler was a fanatical pan-German nationalist who believed that German-speaking Austrians and Germans were part of the same racial. So you see, there's a lot of things here that match up between Hitler and Trump, between MAGA and Hitler, Project 2025 and Mein Kampf. I can't now. I've given the example of people should prove me wrong, but they can't. But they haven't been able to prove me wrong just yet. But when I tell the Jews all these analogies, they tell me you're fucking crazy, and you're a stupid liberal snowflake that has TDS, and you hate Trump so much you're gonna make shit up. And I'm like, really? So you forgot about the Holocaust? You forgot? I said, all you gotta do is replace Jews with the illegals, and you have deportation. All you gotta do is replace the cattle cars with planes, the concentration camps with alligator Alcatraz, and you got the same thing. The Trump administration is looking to taking these warehouses to convert them into holding areas for illegal immigrants. Call it what it is, camps. And now Donald Trump wants to bring back the gas chambers, the firing squad, electrocution by chair, which is exactly what Hitler did, the Nazis did. They had the gas chambers, they had the showers. They told the Jews, you're going for a nice shower, go. And I said this Friday night, and they're like, Trump said no such thing. I said, yes, he did. Why don't you read it? They go, you're just saying it because you hate Trump. I'm like, no, I read it right before Shabbos that the Department of Justice is bringing this back or considering it. They're like, well, if they're considering it, it's not the point. Why are they bringing the gas chamber? This is exactly what Hitler did. As a Jew, shouldn't you be offended by this? And you really can't argue with them. This truly is a cult beyond, and it's getting worse. And I'm seeing that it's getting worse and worse and worse. And there's people that there's no coming back. You can't reason with them, and you're crazy, and they're the sane one. Hitler blamed the Jews for everything that was wrong with the world. Germany was weak and in decline due to the Jewish influence. I put it's in quotes. According to Hitler, the Jews were after world dominance, and they would not hesitate to use all possible means, including capitalism. In this way, Hitler took advantage of the existing prejudice that linked the Jews to monetary power and financial gain. It was already a problem, but Hitler used it to his advantage, and Hitler was a master manipulator. Hitler was a master manipulator. And he was able to convince everybody. He was not bothered by the apparent contradiction in his thinking. He held that communism was a Jewish conspiracy too, even though it was started by Karl Marx, who was far from Jewish. Nevertheless, only a small proportion of the Jews were communists. This idea of Jewish communism was to have awful repercussions in the war with the Soviet Union that started in 1941. The population and prisoners of war were treated brutally by the Jews. Hitler's racism wasn't just for Jews, by the way. He viewed the world as an arena for the permanent struggle between peoples. He divided the world population into high and low races. The Germans belonged to the high peoples and the Jews to the low ones. He also had specific notions about other peoples. The Slavic people, for instance, were cast as inferior, predestined to be the dominant. Hitler felt that the German people could only be strong if they were pure. As a consequence, people with hereditary diseases were considered harmful, meaning genetic diseases. You know, the one that it's in your DNA. These included people with physical or mental disabilities, as well as alcoholics and incorrigible criminals. Once the Nazis had come to power, these ideas led to the forced sterilization and killing of human beings, which is actually true because remember, Goebbels did horrible experiments on people. In fact, with women, he mutilated the women so that they couldn't give birth to anyone, because Hitler was afraid that a German might procreate with a Jew, and they couldn't have that. What Hitler didn't realize, what Hitler didn't know, was that if the mother's not Jewish, neither is the baby. But the baby had to be pure German blood, meaning a German and a German had to have sex together in order to have a child. And that's what he believed. And actually, if you play the video game Wolfenstein, which is actually the setting of Nazi Germany, there is some truth to that the Nazis were doing secret experiments. And evidence today points to that exact theory. What those experiments were, we don't know. But there is some truth to that. During the Nazi dictatorship, German children were taught about the racial doctrine and the superiority of the Aryan race. The ideas that Hitler developed in the 1920s remained more or less the same until his death in 1945. What did change is that in 1933 he was handed the power to start realizing them. During the 1930s, he did everything he could to expel the Jews from German society. Once the war had started, the Nazis resorted to mass murder. Nearly 6 million Jews were murdered. All right, I'm not going to get into the whole big controversy here, but here's the thing that I'm getting at. Everything that Donald Trump is doing are not his ideas at all. These are ideas that were given to him from Project 2025 that he denied of it. He said he denied that he knew nothing about it. And Stephen Miller, if you ever see him speak, first of all, he looks like Goebbels, number one, but number two, he's a self-hating Jew. Most of these ideas came from Stephen Miller. Project 2025 has already been implemented. Most of it has been implemented. There's even a whole section written by Brandon Carr, the head of the FCC, and he's actually tried to implement those ideas through threats. And anyone who's too ignorant to realize what's going on here, then you are the problem. And Republicans have been enabling this from day one. And I don't like really talking about this. And as a Jew, it bothers me that we have to have this conversation today, over 80 years later. But it's a conversation. But unfortunately, this is what we're doing here. History is repeating itself because those who forget history are doomed to repeat it, and we're seeing that. And we're seeing that. And the fact that my fellow Jews are too so ensconced in the enamoration of Trump, and I don't know if that's a word, but it breaks my heart. And the fact that she had to get all worked up about it to the point where she was going to cry. You know, I wonder why this is. What happened to the days where it was okay to agree to disagree with each other, and everybody would have their opinions doesn't mean you're right, and it doesn't mean you're wrong. Opinions are like assholes. We all have one. You know? And that's why when you're watching an infomercial on TV, it says the views expressed here are honestly the views of us. Because it's a disclaimer saying, we don't necessarily agree with this, but that's their viewpoint. And everyone's entitled to it. And certainly does matter what a person did 10 years ago to what happens today. And it's funny. The same people who hate Mamdani and berate you for that are the same people who voted for Trump. And I tell them all the time, we told you not to vote for Trump. We knew the kind of person he was, and we warned you not to vote for him, and you didn't listen. So you have no credibility here. But whether or not I said, and whether or not Mamdani is anti-Semite is irrelevant, because one bad thing isn't as bad as what Trump is doing. Okay? I can deal with the fact that he's an anti-Semite. I can deal with that fact because I know how to deal with that. Okay, and I'm not too sure he's 100% anti-Semite. Just because he's allowing you to protest in front of synagogues and churches means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. That doesn't make someone an anti-Semite because you're letting them protest in front of churches too. Does that make you an anti-Christian then? If I go in front of a mosque, and does that make me an anti-Muslim because I'm protesting in front of a mosque? No, I'm exercising my First Amendment right to protest. I have no reason to be protesting in front of a mosque, but you see the gist of what I'm saying here. You see the gist of what I'm saying. And just to show you, and I can say this, and if people want a list of 5 good things that Biden did, okay. Okay. You want to see them? Okay. Here, here's 5 good things that Joe Biden did. You want it? Fine. It included significant legislative achievements such as signing a $1.2 trillion Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, enacting the Inflation Reduction Act to lower health costs and combat climate change. Something that Donald Trump took away. Okay? And passing the CHIPS and Science Act for domestic semiconductor manufacturing. His administration also confirmed Ketanji Brown Jackson as the first black woman on the Supreme Court and strengthened NATO alliances, particularly supporting Ukraine, something that Donald Trump is trying to take away. Okay? The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, number 1, was passed in 2021. It provides federal funding to rebuild roads, bridges, railroads, and improve broadband internet across the USA. Something that Donald Trump tried to take away from New York by hijacking it, using a bully tactic, saying, I'm going to re-give you the funding if you rename Penn Station after me. And of course, he got sued, and of course, he lost that. The Number 2, Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. This landmark law lowered prescription drug costs, including capping insulin at $35 for seniors, and made major investments in green energy. Something that Donald Trump said is a scam. Okay? He said the Green New Deal is a scam. Okay? Doesn't explain why, just as a New Deal. And then he's saying he did what no other president could do by lowering the costs of drugs, which was also a lie, because as you see here, President Biden was able to cap it at $35 for seniors. So, and I don't know what it was before, but that is a major win for seniors, because many seniors need insulin, and not just seniors. Other people need them too. Number 3, CHIPS and Science Act, designed to boost U.S. competitiveness. This law provided billions in incentives to build semiconductor manufacturing facilities within the U.S. I can't comment on that because I don't know the outcome of that. Number 4, strengthening NATO and alliances. Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Biden oversaw the expansion of NATO, including Finland and Sweden, who joined NATO, by the way, during his presidency, and rallied international support for Ukraine, which we're still seeing today, by providing them weapons and money. So that's number four. And finally, the Supreme Court thing. He appointed the first black woman, Ketanji Brown Jackson, to the Supreme Court and appointed a record number of diverse women and people of color to the federal judiciary, aka DEI, aka affirmative action, aka civil rights, aka the very thing Trump took away because he's a racist and a bigot. So those are five things that Joe Biden have done. And here's five, and here's more from the Hill. Okay. Biden took office pledging to restore unity in the country, and while he may have struggled to achieve that, he did manage to sign into law a slew of bipartisan legislation. The president's first 2 years in particular saw a number of bipartisan bills reach his desk at a time when Democrats did control the House and had the majority in a 50-50 Senate. Okay, the infrastructure law, the CHIPS, the legislative. The Biden also signed bipartisan legislation in late 2022, that safeguarded marriage equality, codifying federal protections for same-sex couples. Even after Republicans took control of the House, Biden managed to broker agreements at key moments. In particular, he averted a debt limit crisis when he and then Speaker Kevin McCarthy reached a deal in late May of 2023 to lift the debt ceiling for 2 years and apply new caps on federal spending over the same duration. Okay? President Biden has appointed 233 federal judges, the same number as President-elect Trump had at the same point in his first term in office. Of those Biden appointments, a majority have been people of color. He also made a point of appointing public defenders. In 2022, he set a record as president for the most nominees who have worked as public defenders to be appointed to circuit courts. Another one of his whole profile campaign promises was to forgive student loan debt, and while the effort was caught up in various losses, he ultimately found ways to deliver relief to millions of Americans. Biden's first attempt at student debt relief was blocked by the Supreme Court in a 2023 ruling. The Supreme Court earlier this year also rebuffed a request from the Biden administration. And again, this is the Hill, so I'm reading an old story. Biden has instead turned to more targeted efforts. He has forgiven student loans for many public service workers, targeting teachers, firefighters, and other eligible workers who have been paying on their loans for more than 10 years. The economy and concerns over inflation were main contributors to Trump's victory in November. Biden is seen to have been adamant to the economic solution, believing Trump is one of the biggest achievements. And that's mostly true. Also, during Biden's, the Federal Reserve was cutting interest rates twice in recent months. Basically, Biden did a lot. What has Trump done? While Biden was trying to bring unity together, Trump has done the exact opposite by dividing us and destroying the unity. And if I had to name one good thing that Trump did, it's this: that he showed who people really, really are. And by that I mean that Trump showed that it's okay to be a racist. It's okay to be a bigot. It's okay to hate people. And that's what Trump showed. Trump showed that it's okay to divide people. Because Trump turned people against each other. Friends became enemies. Enemies became friends, even tearing families apart. And not just by being a Trump supporter, but by turning family members in if they weren't legal. That's it. And that's what Germans did in Nazi Germany too. If you were hiding a Jew in your house, you either protected them, or you turned them in so you didn't get shot to death. That's pretty much what you do. And so, no, I will not back down on this. If this alienates me, I don't care. If this tells me I can never come to your house anymore for a meal or whatnot because I offended you, well, I'm sorry. I don't take back what I said. I don't regret it. And you know what? Maybe it's for the best. You know what? I'm not going to defend my actions because my actions are genuine. There's a reason I don't talk politics. And if you're a boyfriend who's dumping his girlfriend because she didn't vote for Trump, then you're the problem. You're the problem because we have a democracy in this country. We have an election that's free and fair, and we have a right to vote for whoever we want. Whether or not you like the decision, whether you like that, isn't relevant. The point is, we have a right to vote for whoever we want. You want to dump? You want to break up with me because I voted for for Kamala Harris or Bill Clinton or whatnot, and I didn't vote for Trump? Well, I'm sorry, and you're going to break up with me. Well, then that's just more about your character than this is about me. I'm not going to vote for a convicted felon. I'm not going to vote for a con artist. I'm not going to vote for a vindictive, hateful man. I'm not. I have morals and I have ethics. I have dignity, and I'm not going to compromise them just to sashay people's mentality. You like Trump? Great. You like Trump. You don't see anything wrong with what he's doing? Great. When you're saying that they killed Alex Peretti because he was in the way, okay, well, that's not a reason to kill somebody, but if that's your theory, and I ask you the same question myself, I'm in the way, are you going to kill me? Are you going to kill me if I'm in your way? If I'm blocking, if I'm cock blocking you from a woman, are you going to shoot me dead because I'm in the way? See, you have to go with their logic. You have to go with their logic. In fact, somebody just posted on Facebook. Kamala Harris is saying he entered a war, got pulled into it by Bibi Netanyahu. Let us be clear about that. Entered a war that American people do not want, putting at risk American service members. She's not wrong, Kamala Harris. She's not wrong. And somebody responded, nobody pulled Trump into the war but Trump himself. And everyone else is saying, oh, Kamala Harris, she has no brain. This is her brain, scrambled eggs. She's entitled to her opinion, but interestingly enough, she had no problem with the Ukrainian war. Why is that? You know why nobody has a problem? Because Russia attacked Ukraine without provocation. I don't understand why people suddenly believe. Why would Ukraine be attacking Russia? In what world does Ukraine have any benefit of attacking Russia? It doesn't affect them. It's Vladimir Putin who went into the Ukraine because he wants Ukraine back as part of Russia. He wants to bring back the Soviet Union, and Trump is letting him do this. So why is that okay? Now they're all blaming Kamala Harris on this, saying stupidity is hatred, stupidity is dangerous, um, that she's not supposed to speak lies and hate, and yet this is all projection. This is exactly what Trump is doing, but you can't say anything because God forbid you say something and like, you're a fucking retard. Trump is the best president ever that's out there. He's the greatest president of this generation. He's a god. He's Jesus. But Kamala Harris says the same exact thing. Oh, she's stupid. Her brain is fried. Oh, imagine if she was a president. Stupidity is dangerous. You know, and this is exactly what Trump has done. He's created this cult of brainwashing that we're up where we live in a world of opposites where stupidity is dangerous. Somebody where stupidity is dangerous and 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 telling lies should you should be shot to death. Trump does, and it's like Trump is the best president ever. Trump doesn't lie. Trump did everything right. Oh, but didn't he say in his campaign speech, "No new wars"? Didn't he say I'd end the war in Ukraine? Didn't he say we get grocery prices back down? Didn't he say that? Didn't he say he would fix the economy? Didn't he say he was a peace president? But nobody seems to understand this. Nobody seems to understand this. He broke his campaign promises. But Joe Biden, you didn't complain when Joe Biden, because Joe Biden didn't go into a war illegally. Joe Biden wasn't vindictive. Remember how Donald Trump said that Joe Biden is using the Department of Justice to weaponize it, and having his people go get and going after Trump because they hate him? That was projection, ladies and gentlemen. That was projection, because that's exactly what Trump is doing. He weaponized the Department of Justice to work for him. And he's making bullshit investigations. He's making bullshit lawsuits to get exactly what he wants. Like with Jerome Powell. The judge dismissed that case because the judge said, "What case is there? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. I'm not going to give you a subpoena because there's no case here. You're making up some bullshit investigation and you can't give me any proof about it. So I'm not going to give you anything." They did the same thing with James Comey. They did the same thing with Letitia James. It was all revenge. Trump is getting revenge on James Comey for whatever reason, but he's getting revenge on Letitia James for taking him to court and hurting his business and making it personal. And so she's finding bullshit things. And Janine Pirro and all these yo-yos who are supposedly lawyers should know the law and should be able and be smart to tell Donald Trump, "Excuse me, sir, as a lawyer, I have to tell you, I can't just make up frivolous lawsuits like that. I'd lose my license to practice law. I'll go to jail. I can't just make up frivolous lawsuits and make up some case that doesn't exist." But these lawyers can't do that. People like Janine Pirro, people like Pam Brand, they'll say, "Yes, master, we shall do it. Thy will shall be done." And then you're going against the judges. If your line is, "I'm the president, I don't need a judge to tell me what to do," that's a dictator. That's a fascist. That's authoritarian. And he also found a way around the tariff refunds. He also found a way not to give away their tariffs. He's basically saying, if you don't ask for the money back, I will remember that. But if you get the money back, you'll be sorry. And that's a mafia tactic. You're saying, you guys keep the money and we will protect you. If we have to give you the money back, don't complain if we decide to come after you. That's a mafia tactic. So now he's telling the judge, we're trying to give away the money, we're trying to return the money, but the machines, they're not really working too well. So he's finding a way around that too. Companies aren't stupid either. Companies aren't stupid. It's like now, somebody wrote on their Facebook just now that they're blaming last night's shooting, the Saturday night shooting, as a Democrat. It was planted by a Democratic because they're the party of hate. Really? So you guys are law enforcement now. Nobody knows the motive, but you're saying it's a Democratic party of hate. And where are you getting that sentence from? Donald Trump. He's the one who said the Democratic Party is the party of hate. So you're saying it? Why? Because that's what your cult masters all said. So you're repeating this. So you're avoiding what you're saying. So you're spreading propaganda in the hopes that people will turn against the Democratic Party and become Republicans. This is exactly how it worked in Germany. When Hitler said things, and he was a mass manipulator, people would turn against the Jews. People who were friends with the Jews, suddenly they weren't your friend anymore. Suddenly they would turn you in at a moment's notice to protect themselves. You see how this is? You're saying to people, the shooter was planted by a Democrat. Really? Now, let's go with this logic here. Let's go with this logic. Every year, there's a White House Correspondents' Dinner. Okay? Every year, there's a president the president goes, knowing they're going to get roasted. Now, there's never been an incident, in all my years of knowing about, in all my years of living, there's never been any incident anywhere. Now, Trump has said for months he was going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner now. Okay? So you would think that security would be nice and tight. right? So if security wasn't tight, then how the hell did a gunman get into the building without going through security? Explain that to me. How would a gunman, if the President of the United States is going to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, there would be massive security in the hotel? Would there not be? Metal detectors, bomb sniffing dogs, you name it, everything, right? So how did a gunman get through? Okay? How did a gunman get through? It's very convenient that this year at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, it's very convenient that a gunman was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and easily was able to get through security without a problem. Guns and everything. Now, I'll give him credit and maybe say that he already had the guns stored in the hotel. In the hotel. That he may have checked in. But that's highly unlikely because how would you get the gun through security in a hotel? Regardless of that fact. So it's very convenient. So I'm pretty sure this is another distraction, that this was another plant by the Trump administration, because Caroline Levitt, the dumb blonde, said shots will be fired tonight, or something like that, and she said it with a laugh. And what do you know? Shots were fired. Why would Caroline Levitt say shots were going to be fired tonight, or there's going to be a lot of fire tonight, or whatever? How would she know that? How would she not have known that? And she didn't take back her comments. She doubled down on it and said, shots got fired. How did they know? How did they know? Because it's the same thing with Butler, PA. Because not only did Trump profit off that shooting by making T-shirts, mugs, and using the power to the people gesture, Trump's ratings are so low, and I mean low. He is so desperate that he would plant a shooter at the White House Correspondents' Dinner to distract from whatever else is going on, to distract from everything else, the war, the Epstein files, his low poll ratings, that he would plant another shooter on that specific time, so people would be talking about it. That's sad, that's desperate, and that's pathetic. And now he's saying, we're going to cancel the White House Correspondents' Dinner and we're going to reschedule for another time. Except for one problem. The President of the United States has nothing to do with the White House Correspondents' Dinner at all. It's the press. But this is something else that Donald Trump wants to control. Now, why would he decide to go to the dinner this year when he's turned it down every single year? He has no respect for the press. So why would he go all of a sudden? He knows he would be made fun of. He can't stand the fact that Jimmy Kimmel makes fun of him. He can't stand the fact that Seth Meyers makes fun of him. Hell, Stephen Colbert got fired because of what he says about Donald Trump. So why would Donald Trump suddenly want to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner knowing all of this? And the press was smart. Most of them boycotted it. Now, I understand why they would boycott it, but as a journalist, you have to still go and do your job and report it, even if you're protesting it, because that's what a good journalist would do. I get it, I understand it, but there's also sometimes this journalistic integrity where sometimes you have to go. But if your company's telling you don't go because we are boycotting it, that's a different story. But independent journalism is exactly that. Use your own judgment. But you're going to say it's a Democratic Party that did it. But yesterday, Kash Patel was saying, we are going to get to the bottom of this, and we're going to find out exactly if he was working alone or what the motive was. But people, but MAGA and Republicans are saying came from the Democratic Party of hate. Okay, and when you ask for proof, what do they tell you? Oh, shut the fuck up, you liberal snowflake with TDS syndrome. You can't see what's right in front of you. I said, I believe the facts. There's no fact that says the Democrats had anything to do with this. You said that the last time too, and it was false. So you're going to come up with conclusions before anybody else. It's the same thing that Kristi Noem did in Minnesota. She gave all the facts before there were any facts. How can you give facts without knowing the facts? How can you give facts before there are any facts? And making them up isn't a fact. Making it up is just a fairy tale that you made out of thin air. Kristi Noem did the same thing with the Minnesota shooters. Alex Peretti, Renee Good. She ran over and he feared for his life, so he shot her dead. And that's the story they were sticking with, even though it was a bullshit lie that was proven to be false. But she went with that. Same with Alex Peretti. He had a gun and he was going to shoot it and he was pointing it at the officers. Really? No, he wasn't. And they took the gun. All they do is do what a cop would do, which is check the registration, check the serial number, and see if it's if it's registered to him, or if it's a legal gun. And that's what they train you for when you're going for this stuff. They train you for this. They literally train you for this. But when you have 47 days of training, like, hey, what the hell do I know? So that's exactly what this administration does. That's exactly what Donald Trump has done. He's divided the country. He's spread not unity, but hate, cult, brainwashed, and whatever it is. This is a cult. Nazi Germany was a cult, which is a lot worse. And this is not getting better. And if Donald Trump is saying the picture that he posted of him as Jesus, he said, I thought I was a doctor. You ought to be the stupidest man on earth if you think that that picture of you as Jesus was a doctor. Really? Really? Okay. Fine. Jesus was a doctor. I don't remember that. I said, okay. I don't remember Jesus being a doctor, but what do I know? You thought it was... I said, do you not know what you post? So you mean tell me, Mr. Trump, that you don't know what you post? Are you that dumb that you're just posting stupid that you're posting shit at random on your on the website and you have no idea what you're posting? You don't verify it. You just put it on there and say, "Oh, I thought it was a doctor." Really? That means you don't know how to read? Are you blind too? Because I don't know about you, but Jesus wasn't a doctor, and Jesus, and the way that picture looked to me was Jesus. But God forbid you did it to. But God. But let me ask you a question. Why are you insulting and offending Christians and Catholics, but you're not offending Muslims or Jews? Why not doing that? Why are you doing that? I get it. You're offending everybody but the Jews. Why? It's because your son-in-law is an Orthodox Jew? That your daughter-in-law is an Orthodox Jew? Because you need a Jewish vote? Because you love Israel? Well, okay. But don't you need the votes of the Christians and don't you need the votes of the Christians and the Catholics too? And the blacks? Huh? I mean, and as far as sending the peace treaty to Iran, why the fuck would you send the same people back to Pakistan? If it didn't work the first time, after 21 hours, why the fuck would you send the same people? And why you would send different people? But why are you sending people who are experts in their field of negotiation and diplomacy? Why are you sending 2 real estate agents to negotiate? And if your excuse is, well, they're real estate agents, and in real estate you have to negotiate. Yeah, real estate negotiation isn't the same as diplomatic negotiations for peace. They're not the same. And why would you send James David Vance there? Why would you send him? For what business would you send him? And then you're saying, we canceled it because we hold all the cards. No, you don't. That's a fucking piece of shit lie. Guess who holds all the cards? Iran holds all the cards. What exactly do you have in the cards? What do you host? Everything that's happening is because you did it. The Strait of Hormuz is closed because you declared war on them. The nuclear pact that they were working, that they were agreeing to, you ripped up. So what exactly are you going to give them? The opening of the strait again? They closed it because of you. What do you do? Now you're threatening shoot and kill? Holding a blockade? You don't control the Hormuz. Iran does. You blocking it isn't really going to help the situation. Why are you blocking it? What are you planning on getting out of that? Nuclear dust? Why the fuck do we need nuclear dust? What's America going to do with fucking nuclear dust? Throw it in the air and say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. What exactly do we need that for? No, we don't hold the cards. If anything, and I hate to say this, but Iran holds all the cards. Not you, Donald Trump. Iran holds all the cards. They're the ones that have leverage here. Remember, you started up with them. They didn't start up with us. They were leaving us alone. They were honoring the pact that was made a decade ago. They are the ones that are honoring a pact that was signed by Iran, by the United Kingdom, by the United States, by Canada, by Germany, and yes, even Russia. So they were honoring their agreement. And the minute you started that war, they kicked those inspectors out of the country. And whether or not MAGA wants to believe it or not, that's the facts. Whether or not MAGA wants to believe it. The only reason why Trump ripped this up is because he needed a credit for it. He can't stand the fact that Obama did something good. He can't stand the fact. He hates Obama so much to the point where he actually had to pathetically say that Obama is not a legal citizen because his father was because his father's Kenyan. And therefore Obama was born in Kenya, which makes no sense to me whatsoever, but okay. And even if it was proven that he was born in Hawaii, Donald Trump had to say it was likely forged, and therefore he was a legitimate president. But Donald Trump hates Obama. He hates Biden too. You know why? Because they are men that Donald Trump will never be. They are men with integrity, morals, ethics, dignity, compassionate, humanism, genuine, smart, educated. Things that Donald Trump will never, ever be. So I'm going to go and end this and go back to how I started this. That yes, it absolutely does matter what a person did 10 years ago. Okay? Because history remembers that. Okay? Why does it only matter what he's doing now and not back then? They're all connected because Donald Trump has said this years ago. And when you're saying that Biden sniffed kids, you're calling that if I say Trump is a pedophile, but Biden sniffed kids, first of all, that's never been proven. Just because it's in a picture doesn't mean anything. That's number one. Number two, sniffing kids isn't a crime. Sex with minors is. One has nothing to do with the other. You want to sniff a kid? Great. I'll sniff a kid for you. I'll sniff your kid and the other kid. Arrest me. I sniffed your child. Oh boy, I just committed a crime. Put me away. Lock me up and throw away the key. You're justifying the fact that Donald Trump is a pedophile, but I'm not complaining that Biden sniffed kids. Two things that are not related with each other. What the hell do I care if Joe Biden wants to sniff kids? The hell do I care? What I care about is somebody who's a pedophile and protecting his friends who are also pedophiles. Because they could do it again. And the fact that you're considering pardoning Giselle Maxwell is one big F you to all the survivors. Okay? And if you're doing that to make this whole thing go away, but you're telling me you're okay with Biden sniffing people. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't give a shit if you want to sniff my ass. I think you have mental issues if you want to. I don't know why you want to sniff my ass, but go ahead, sniff my ass for all I care. Sniffing my ass isn't a crime. Having sex with an underage kid is. You're not going to go to court. There's not going to be a trial because you sniff my ass or you sniff my daughter or my son or my nephew or my niece. But you'll be going to trial because you're having sex with underage kids. And I know I know personally a person who actually did that, who went to jail for that. Had to register as a sex offender. And yet, still doing it. There's no registry for sniffing kids. You have to, as a pedophile, you have to go on, you're a sex offender. And you have to put yourself in their sex registry. You have to, as a registered sex offender. So yes. But let me ask you a question. If that's true, then why isn't Joe Biden anywhere in the Epstein files? Why isn't Obama in the Epstein files? Donald Trump's name is mentioned more times than anyone else in that file. Where's Joe Biden's name? Where's Bill Clinton's name? Where's Obama's name? And yes, Bill Clinton is in the Epstein files, but he admitted to it. But a picture doesn't mean he had sex with any of the kids. Just because there's a picture of him in the hot tub at the Epstein file, in the Epstein files, doesn't mean he had sex with the kids. That being said, there are videos of Donald Trump partying with Jeffrey Epstein surrounded by girls. There's a letter in the New Yorker from 1982 where Donald Trump is saying, Jeffrey Epstein is my best friend for over 10 years. That birthday letter was written by Trump. So yeah, we have proof. And if Donald Trump says he's innocent, then release all the files and let the chips fall where they may. If he's innocent as he says he is, then problem solved, goes away. But only a person who's guilty would do everything he could to distract. But if you're innocent, release all the files. And if by chance you are guilty, then own up to it and say, yeah, it was me. I was young. I made a mistake. I was stupid. And I can't take it back. But and apologize. Bill Clinton admitted he was in the. Bill Clinton said, yeah, I was. Bill Gates admitted to it. He said, yeah, I used bad judgment and I'm sorry. And had I known then, I wouldn't have donated all that money. So yeah, everybody who's been outed has admitted to it. They've resigned or they're owning up to it. And in Europe and in England, that's exactly what they're doing. They're holding people accountable for it. Look at Andrew. He lost everything. He's not a prince anymore. His title was taken from him. He can't. He has to use his last name now. He was expelled from the kingdom. So yeah, he paid a price for it. In Europe, they're taking care of it. They're dealing with it. People getting arrested. People being held accountable. But not Trump. So yeah, find me Joe Biden's name anywhere in the Epstein files. Find me Obama's name anywhere in the Epstein files. I'll give $10 for each time either one of them is mentioned in pages of the Epstein files. I will do that. I'll give you $10 for each time Joe Biden's name is named in the Epstein files. I'll give $10 for each time Barack Obama's name is mentioned in the Epstein files, okay? But if you can prove to me that sniffing is worse than pedophile, I'll give you $2,000. All right? But I'm going to end this and say, point blank, right now, I'm going to say, I don't give a shit if you got worked up on it. I said what I said. I don't fucking regret what I said. I'm stating facts. The fact that you're trying to justify that what he's doing is okay is a problem. The fact you're saying that what he did 10 years ago doesn't matter, only what he does now matters, that's a problem I have. And if you're trying to justify that Biden did the same thing, and I didn't say anything, but I've already said it. I said it wasn't Biden's fault. The pandemic happened under Trump. Remember that. In his first term, he got rid of the committee that's supposed to protect us from pandemics, and he fired them. Okay? Joe Biden didn't shut down the government. Governors did that. Okay? And people complained about that, how they're moving to Florida because they don't like being caged up. Remember that? They all left to Florida. Like they thought it would be a lot easier to go there. And they ended up getting sicker when they moved to Florida because DeSantis didn't care. He didn't close up the government. Remember, Trump said, we'll be open by Easter. Because Trump's only thinking about money. Remember that? So it wasn't Joe Biden that closed the government down. If anything, Joe Biden recommended it. He wasn't telling people, shut down or else. He was recommending it. Didn't mean the governors had to do it. They were doing what was best for the people living in the city or in the state. And gas. And it's funny. Y'all complained about it then, but you're not complaining about it now. When we bring it up now, you see, Trump knows what he's doing. Trump knows what he's doing. Have faith in him. And if you didn't hate him so much, you would. So you're hypocrites because when Biden did it, it's like fuck Joe Biden. When we have it now, you're saying trust in Trump. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, if he knew what he was doing, we wouldn't be having the shit show we're right now. And by the way, just to prove to you how it's chaos, when was the last time a presidency had a high turnover with people being fired, resigning, or a president even taking accountability for their for their cabinet members? Okay, so for you, Pam Bondi's got fired. Okay, Kash Patel's out the door. So is Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, seriously. Anyway, um, yeah. And when was the last time a president had polling numbers in the negative? It was in the negative. That's how bad it is. And instead of trying to fix it, he's blaming other people and then making it worse for himself. And then he's going to wonder why, in November, Democrats took control of the House and the Senate. And I hope that happens because it'll prove that everyone's turned on Trump. Because when the Democrats do have control of the government again, well, guess what's going to happen? They will all be held accountable. Even Republicans that are in the House and Senate right now, they'll be held accountable as well. You'll have Rubio being held accountable. You'll have Donald Trump being impeached. Maybe James Vance will be impeached. But trust me, the Democrats will hold them all accountable. And I'm counting my days until we get to November, when this shit show will finally end. Until then, I pray for everybody in this cult to wake up and realize that all us sane people were correct. And I pray that you all get better and wake up from this nightmarish cult that you're in, because it's destroying your soul. It's taking away your humanity. And it's changed you as a person. So I pray and I hope that at some point you realize. But the only question I have to ask is, how much lower does Donald Trump have to go before you wake up and realize, oh shit, I should have listened to you. Oh shit, you were right. How much lower is it going to have to go before you wake up and realize that we were all right?